As National Apprenticeship Week gets underway, there's a push to promote the skilled trades as a viable career option. Detroit is experiencing a construction boom, but the demand for workers far exceeds the number of skilled tradespeople. The second annual Apprenticeship Expo is being held this week to introduce Detroiters to the construction and transportation industries. It's hosted by a partnership of unions, businesses, government, and nonprofits. Joining me now are Tony Kratofil from the Michigan Department of Transportation, Dannis Mitchell from Barton Malow, and Mecca Di-ibor, an electrician apprentice. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. So we talk about this issue a lot in Detroit, the boom in construction and the lack of people to fill those jobs. That has a lot to do with opportunity, the lack of opportunity that we see in neighborhoods in Detroit. Talk about how this apprenticeship program moves the needle on that, Tony.
Well, I think the first thing, Stephen, is it helps bring awareness to the opportunity that's there.
Mm-hmm.
I think people see the projects and all the exciting things going on in Detroit, but they want to know how they can get
They
involved.
don't necessarily know that it can be something for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And the pathway into the industry is not always really clear or obvious to people. So the event next week really highlights how people can find their entry point into the industry.
Yeah. Michigan Department of Transportation, of course, is one of the hirers for some of these jobs, correct?
Well, we are in the sense any public agency puts contracts out.
Yeah.
But we are actually hiring contractors who hire people.
Who then hired the...
So it's a complex system, and
Yeah.
that's actually what we've been spending a lot of time the last 8 or 10 years trying to bring all the right parties together to say, how can we do better to give opportunities to people?
Right, right. This gap in skills, you know, is one of the reasons that we see people not taking advantage. But there are some other things at play too, correct, Dannis?
So some of the factors are that people don't understand, like Tony said, the clear career path. You have to be at least 18 years of age to work on an active construction site. You have to be dressed properly. So there are certain things that we are diligently working on called an apprenticeship checklist.
Mm-hmm.
What should apprentice know after you go to the hall and sign up? How do you get in contact with a direct employer like Barton Malow? And then from there, what do you need to do on day one? So what time are your breaks? There are a lot of people who don't understand that before they actually go to the job site. So spending time around that and really being clear with what the requirements are. So understanding that you have to take a drug test, that's very important. And you have to be prepared in advance. So being on a job site is not like being in an office or working in a different type of field. It's
Yeah.
very unique. So there are soft skills that need to come into play. And again, a lot of people don't understand that. So I spend a lot of time educating the community on that alone.
If you think about all of the things that you have to know and that you have to do, I mean, it could be a little intimidating. I mean, reasonably, it could be very intimidating. But then when you're thinking of folks who have been sort of locked out in the first place, you're really talking about significant barriers.
Yeah, but so not locked out, but just not prepared. And that's a fault of our industry.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fault of you know, us not working together as a community overall to prepare people, because we understand that the transition from many years ago was to go into the trades.
Right.
Well, that needle shifted, and a lot of people wanted to go into technology. So we're really at the transitional point now where the need is there, and we have to understand how to communicate to people in a way in which they get prepared early in advance. So holding hands along the way is not just an employer responsibility, it's really a community-driven effort.
Yeah, yeah. And the time that it takes to get through these apprenticeship programs, I know, is comparable in some cases to college. If you want to be a journeyman carpenter, for instance, you spend 4 years as an apprentice.
That's actually one of our taglines.
Is that?
Is that the trades are the other 4-year degree.
Right, right.
But the difference between that and a college education is that you're earning money.
You're working while you're doing it.
You're working while you're learning, and you're progressing to a place where you can participate more fully in the trades.
Yeah, yeah. Mecca, you are working as an electrician, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so tell me about how you sort of came to the realization that that was something you wanted to do, but also something that you could do.
Okay, well, first off, I have a finance degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to college, I had finance, was working in finance. I figured out that I really like to use my hands more, so I wanted to do something that was manually manually labor, but mentally challenged. So I looked around, found out electrician would fit me best.
Yeah, and what is it about being an electrician that sort of attracts your attention?
Well, because it's an everyday need
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be
It
able
is.
to do my due diligence, contribute to society in my city.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
So-
And talk about some of the projects that you've worked on. Some of them we might know, right?
I worked on Little Caesars Arena with
Mhm.
Dannis here, with outreach, with diversity. But with my apprenticeship, I been working with a lot of Ford plants. So
Yeah. I think that's really interesting that you went to college, got a degree, and then decided that the trades were more interesting. That's sort of an unusual or non-traditional path. Do you feel like you made the wrong decision in trying to get a degree first and maybe should have done this instead, or are you happy that you have both and that it gives you options?
I'm happy that I have both.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is I didn't know about skilled trade until I started working and I seen it. But at high school, middle school, I didn't know anything about skilled trade.
So no one was telling you in your high school,
Yeah.
hey, here's
Everything
a
was-
couple of other kinds of things you might do.
Everything was go to college. And
Yeah.
then I graduated in 2007 when the economy tanked.
Okay.
So it was no one was hiring,
Right.
go straight to college.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That gets to a cultural problem, right? That we have in schools.
That's right.
People are not being told that this is a career.
Which is partly why there's National Apprenticeship Week next week, and
Right.
partly why we're hosting the expo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just hosting an expo, it's hosting it at Randolph Career Technical Education Center, which through the efforts of Mayor Duggan has been reinvigorated in partnership with DPS. So it's really letting the community know that there are options out there so that students going through school like Mecca realize that there's opportunities in other things besides college.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Dannis.
So I think it's important to note that a lot of people in the community aren't aware of where Randolph is located. So Randolph, I'm a Randolph graduate, so I'm a Randolph
right?
alum.
Didn't
So
know
it's
that.
near and dear to my heart as well. And I'm very thankful that Barton Malow has gotten behind the efforts to support the city in revitalizing the school. But the school is on the west side of Detroit, right on 6 Mile and Hubble. So it's important for people to really be there on Tuesday from 4 to 7 to come out and really learn about the trades overall. We're going to have hands-on demonstrations. There will be employers there, but the goal is to really show people what the work is. So there are many trades that make up the construction industry, more than 20 actually. So we're going to really walk through what some of those trades are and some of the hands-on, like Mecca said, in his day-to-day activities that he performs. We're going to do that at Randolph.
Yeah. What made you pick Randolph? I didn't know that about you. What made you say, hey, this is something I think I can do?
So I'm a dual DPS graduate. I'm proud to say that. I'm a graduate of Renaissance High School, but at the time, Randolph had an agreement with Renaissance.
Okay.
So it goes to show a lot of the transition within the school system that has taken place because they had a partnership. So students were allowed to go over to Randolph for half a day and learn various trades. Well, now that doesn't exist. So how do we get back to what that was? Because if it wasn't for Randolph, and my parents, honestly. My dad is a retired electrical worker, so I had some knowledge going in as to what the apprenticeships were, but if it wasn't for a school like Randolph, who really gave me the opportunity to get into the industry, I wouldn't be in construction.
You wouldn't know. Yeah. Mecca, do you see a day when you might use both things, both your finance degree and your electrician certification?
Yes, I believe I use it now a lot when it comes to man hours and the cost of materials and manpower and the duration of the job. So my foreman knows I have a college degree, so he's always asking me, because now the construction is steering towards using a lot of technology. A lot of the guys don't know how to use computers and tablets, so spreadsheets, so I still help them out with that.
Yeah, that could also be the germ of some sort of entrepreneurial opportunity for you as well, because you understand that. We've got about a minute left. I want to give you guys a chance to talk about the things that need to move still to get us to a better space on this.
Dannis mentioned the role of parents in encouraging their students, and so this expo is really for the entire community. We hope to see a lot of parents there too, because they can be the encouraging force for their students to consider skilled trades as an option.
Right, right. It starts with home. Yeah.
And I think it's also important to note that this is our second year doing it. So this is something that we're looking to do on an annual basis. The need is there. The commitment is there from employers, from the city, and the interest is there from the community. So we really want to make sure that we get people out there on Tuesday from 4 to 7. I can't stress it enough. It's very important that you come out and really learn about viable careers in construction.
Okay. All right. Well, congratulations and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Finally today, we want to offer our condolences to the family of U.S. District Judge Anna Diggs Taylor, who passed away at the age of 84. Judge Taylor was an African-American trailblazer. In 1979, she became the first black woman to serve as a federal judge here in Michigan. She was later named Chief Judge for the Eastern District of Michigan. Another first for a black female during her career. Judge Taylor presided over several high-profile cases. She is survived by her husband, S. Martin Taylor, son Douglas, and daughter, Carla. That's our program for today. Thanks for watching.